Here's a Queer News Tonight, and this evening we discuss the queer headlines. Irritable male syndrome sheds light on aging hormones and mental health among queer men, urging compassionate conversations as testosterone declines.
A Catholic order is challenging New York's LGBTQ+ care protections, arguing required use of pronouns and gender-affirming policies violate religious freedom, raising concerns about a precedent for queer elder rights.
An Australian court overturned a ruling on excluding trans women from lesbian events, sending the case back for review.
Tennessee lawmakers are advancing a bill protecting anti-LGBTQ speech on campuses, shielding it from consequences while penalizing protests. Advocates fear it will enable discrimination and restrict students' dissent under free expression protections.
A growing number of gay men are opting for costly penis filler procedures in search of confidence boost. Experts warn about choosing qualified providers for safety reasons. All this important LGBTQ+ news and more this evening on Queer News Tonight. Welcome to Queer News Tonight. This is the world's first and only LGBTQ daily news television show, broadcasting live and available on demand on your favorite streaming channels.
Analytics company vidIQ has certified that Queer News Tonight YouTube channel as the world's most popular LGBTQ streaming news show. Our queer stories have reached over 12 million views.
We are proud that Queer News Tonight has more YouTube subscribers than any other LGBTQ brand in Florida.
We thank you for watching and supporting our voice in our rainbow family. There is no other news program in the LGBTQ world like Queer News Tonight.
It is Thursday, April 16th. We are live and literally out of the closet and into the headlines. So many of your important stories we will tell this evening on Queer News Tonight.
You're watching Queer News Tonight, the world's first daily LGBTQ evening news show.
Welcome to the world's most important LGBTQ evening news show.
Hotspots Magazine, Happening Out Television Network, is a nonprofit 501c3 media company in the same model as PBS and NPR, but created for the LGBTQ community. Our nonprofit mission is to support the 11 pillars of our community. We want to inform and educate the key issues of lesbian, trans, Latino, Black, healthcare, seniors, students, faith, social justice, business, and queer culture. Help us support our diverse community.
We are part of one of the largest LGBTQ nonprofit media companies in America, Hotspots Magazine and Happening Out Television Network. In 2026, our magazine is celebrating 41 years of the LGBTQ experience, and Queer News Tonight is celebrating our 5th anniversary with more than 14,000 LGBTQ television stories.
We present South Florida's major LGBTQ events, including Pride Fort Lauderdale, Stonewall Pride, and Pride Fete. Our magazine, events, television news, talk, and entertainment shows support our mission to educate the LGBTQ and broader community.
In 2026, more than 100 community leaders will sit at this table and share their voices as our anchors. Together, we host this show to support the LGBTQ community. Let's meet this evening's anchors on Queer News Tonight. Let's welcome anchor Larry Farver. Larry has over 20 years of experience in human resources, acting, film, radio, TV, live events, parade float design, production, and casting. He is also a board member of the West Side Association. Larry, a special second viewing night and Meet the Artist takes place on April 18th, featuring Brenden Sanborn. Tell me, what's happening out?
Absolutely, Vaughn. Well, step into an intimate world of emotion and artistry at Unspoken, the quiet between moments, featuring new works by South Florida artist Brenden Sanborn. The special second viewing night and Meet the Artist takes place this Saturday, April 18th, 2026, from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. at Space Untitled Art Gallery in Wilton, Manors. With over 2 decades of creative exploration, Sanborn's work spans watercolor, oil, acrylic, and digital mediums, capturing the human form with striking vulnerability and depth. Guests have the opportunity to meet the artist, hear the stories behind each piece, and experience the collection up close in a welcoming gallery setting. Light bites and drinks will be served as attendees explore available works, some already in high demand. More details are available on untitledwiltonmanors.com. So I've attended several events. Matteo Cessolini owns the gallery, has a lot of wonderful artists, and it's always nice to see a lot of folks from our community there. So I think if you're free, please check it out. I think this artist doing a little research is kind of exciting, and I think there's also a piece of art as well in researching this. So I encourage you all to come out. I know Matteo's been a friend of Marriott's Mary Productions, and so we really encourage everyone to come out and enjoy the art exhibit.
Wilton Manors is really stepping up the artist game.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah. There's several galleries.
Let's welcome anchor Jennifer McClain, a powerhouse entertainer for over 20 years who has captivated audiences from Key West to Fire Island and beyond. Featured on CNN and the big film, Big Easy Queens, she's a multi-award winner, singer, and actor. Celebrated as South Florida's favorite local celebrity and beloved performer on land and sea. Welcome to the show, Jennifer, for someone who's actually got more glitz going on than I normally do. But I feel like I'm here with royalty. This is the first time at the table with you, so I'm excited.
Thank you. I'm happy to be back. I had took some time off because I had my knee surgery back in January, and I couldn't sit at a table like this for a little while. But I'm back and walking around and sitting like a normal person, and thought about time I showed up and hung out with the guys.
Yes, glad to have some estrogen here at the table.
I do what I can.
Yes. Let's welcome anchor Rex Rogosch, my brother from another mother. Rex is a visionary designer with over 30 years of experience in product design, interior design, and architecture. He performs in the drag community as International Lords and is the current reigning Mr. Scandals 2026. Rex is the president and co-founder of Lantera, a 501c3 organization dedicated to advancing mental health awareness through inclusive, community-driven events. Rex, Come As You Are Prom lights up the night on May 2nd. Tell me what's happening now.
If you are looking for something fun, fabulous, and meaningful, this spring, Lantera invites you to the Come As You Are Prom, the Speakeasy Era, on May 2nd from 7 to 11 p.m. This one-of-a-kind prom experience welcomes everyone to show up exactly as they are. Expect a glamorous speakeasy-inspired night filled with live entertainment, music, dancing, and the exciting crowning of prom royalty. Every ticket purchase supports vital mental health initiatives through our mission, Open Arms and Open Heart, directly benefiting the local community. For more details, visit lanterafl.org/events. I can't believe we are like 17 days away or something like that from
coming up.
It is coming up. This has been this one event. All of our events, do the same thing. We raise money for our mental health fund, which we launched this year. For those who don't know, in the past we gave out money to organizations calling Keep the Lights On. This year we launched a mental health fund, and it's going to be a direct one-to-one grant giving. So if a provider has a patron who can no longer afford their mental health care, we will give a grant to make sure that that person stays in mental health. So it's a literal one-to-one giving. So this event is our major fundraising event. But more than that, it's a way to relive an experience that you loved, recreate an experience that you didn't like, or have the experience altogether. Because there's so many people who don't get to have prom. And it's for a couple of hours of just being safe, seen, and heard, more than anything, just to come and have fun. I mean, I'll take your checks, but I really want, people to have fun and mingle with people. When I say it's a community event, it really is. We have people from all walks of life that come to the event, and just, have fun.
Now, Rex, you say come as you are.
Yes.
Now, you got to admit, people dress up for this.
Oh, absolutely. So it is speakeasy. So, I just finished my outfit. Oh. So if you want to know what it looks like, and if you know anything about me and my drag personas, I don't do anything subtle. So you have to come and look. But no, our first year, so this is our third year. Our first year we had people show up in full furry outfits. I've had people in full leather. I've had drag queens. I've had drag kings. I literally have had all walks of life. So I do encourage people to dress theme appropriate. Come in whatever you want, as long as it's legal It's my only caveat, as long as it's legal.
Speakeasies were because alcohol was illegal, so
correct. But
maybe
I do have
maybe
insurance.
wait till you pass. Maybe wait till you pass the threshold. And this is a secret location.
Well, it is a secret location, keeping with the speakeasy. Once you buy your tickets, it does give you the address to where it is. But I tell people, look for the big gray box.
Sounds familiar.
That sounds very exciting.
Yes, very much so. Queer News Tonight looks forward to seeing you at Come As You Are Prom on May 2nd.
And of course, let's welcome tonight's lead anchor, Vaughn Biggs. Vaughn is a force in LGBTQ+ and HIV justice, using his skills as a national speaker, writer, and passionate HIV empowerment advocate. He pushes back against stigma and complacency with unapologetic truth. Vaughn is the Community Engagement Coordinator for Holy Cross Health, Executive Committee member for the National HIV Aging Advocacy Network, and a founding board member of TransEd. Vaughn, Holy Cross Health is conducting a free HIV and STI testing night on April 17th. Tell me what's happening out.
Thank you, Larry. I will. Take charge of your health at a free community testing event hosted by Holy Cross Health on Friday, April 17th from 7 to 9 p.m. at Tap That in Wilton, Manors. This easy walk-in event offers fast and confidential testing for HIV, syphilis, and Hep C, with results available in just 20 minutes. Open to everyone, the initiative aims to make testing accessible, stigma-free, and part of your regular self-care, especially within the LGBTQ+ community. It is not all business because, oh my gosh, I was going to say his name wrong again. I did. Eddie, yes, his Naga performs great vocals that evening. It starts at 10. So the idea is to come out ahead of time, get your test done, grab a drink from Diane at the bar, and just listen for some great music. For more information, you can visit holy-cross.com, or you can also search Tap That on Facebook.
Sounds great.
Yes.
Tap That. Diane over there. She has really very quickly become a very vital member of the community.
Yes.
And an ally beyond.
Yes.
So it comes as no surprise to me.
I've been talking to her for a while.
That she's hosting your event at Tap That.
Yeah.
And Eddie, whose name I had to say about 15 times last night so that I got it right.
Yeah.
Is an amazing vocalist, and he'll be there after the testing event. So that sounds like a really, really fun Friday night. So you can go there, get tested, find out your results, and then hook up.
I mean, as someone who does not like to go to the doctor and get tested regularly, I do. However, it's not something that I look forward to. I love the fact that you're bringing this not only to the community, but it's free, because there's, we do know that there's a lot of people out there that don't have insurance, and so that's yet another excuse, and they don't have the ability to get to a clinic, so that's another excuse. So I like the fact that you're breaking down the excuses and saying, hey, I'm in your hood now, right? Come get tested, because it's vital that everybody knows their status.
Yep.
That's great. Larry?
Yeah, no, I think kudos to you and your organization. So, it's so important to do community outreach. And, I think both Rex and Jennifer said it well as well. So, Queer News Tonight looks forward to seeing you all at the Holy Cross Health Free HIV and STI Testing Night on April 17th.
I'm Vaughn Biggs, and let's queer up health. Mood swings, wrinkles, and testosterone, oh my. Tonight we turn our attention to a conversation that rarely makes it into queer spaces, but absolutely should. Aging, hormones, emotional health, and the way masculinity is taught to men across generations, including gay, bi, trans, and queer men. A recent article published by HuffPost is bringing renewed attention to something called irritable male syndrome, often referred to as IMS. While it is not a clinical diagnosis, and I'm not clinical, experts say it describes a very rare cluster of symptoms affecting many men as they age. For LGBTQ+ people who already navigate stigma around mental health, vulnerability, and aging bodies, this conversation hits especially close to home. According to HuffPost, irritable male syndrome is described as, quote, a cluster of symptoms that often appears in aging men, end quote, tied largely to gradual testosterone decline and shifting hormones. The symptoms listed in the article include irritability, depression, low energy, cognitive fog, sleep disturbances, reduced libido, and changes in body composition. These are symptoms many queer men already understand but often experience in silence. The article notes that testosterone levels begin declining about 1% per year after the age of 40, with most men noticing the symptoms between 40 and 60. That timeline overlaps directly when many gay and bisexual men report increased anxiety about aging, desirability, and relevance in communities that have historically centered on youth. James Davis, a coaching psychologist, explains why IMS often goes unnoticed. He says testosterone decline is more of a, quote, slow drip, end quote, compared to menopause. For LGBTQ plus men, that slow drip is layered with other pressures. A dating culture that prioritizes youth, healthcare symptoms that often lack cultural competence, and a generation of men who were taught that vulnerability is weakness. This article frames emotional changes as health issues deserving care, conversation, and compassion instead of character flaws. LGBTQ plus communities must be part of this conversation and not an afterthought. Well, in reading this article, one thing I thought about was, because, I was married for 32 years, so it was always, always heard about menopause. I'm like, okay, this is menopause, clearly, IMS, but we can all relate, I'm sure. They talk about us men when we have our midlife crisis, but when they start talking about the symptoms, I'm looking through those, and being the young 62-year-old that I am today, those symptoms are aging. They really are all those same symptoms we see when we're aging, but it's interesting that they're tying it to this.
Yep. Like you said, there really is a thing as menopause.
Right. Yep.
It's not just menopause.
Right.
I've had irritability with men before, but I think it's a little different.
Yes.
I think this brings up the question, they talk about, the stigmas around, talking about mental health and talking about health in general. And I think a lot of people in general, especially men, are afraid to talk to their doctors. And when the doctors go, is there anything wrong? They say,
right.
Exactly.
So, especially for LGBTQ men, if you're getting tested regularly already to stay on PrEP or any other of your medications, you're tested now every 3 months because every medication out there affects your liver or kidneys. And some add the testosterone check. It's something that you're drawing your blood already. Just have that conversation. It's okay to get older. And the thing is you're not the only one getting older. Right. I'm Benjamin Button. I'm getting younger every day.
Of course.
So, my 52 is going to turn 25 here soon. But, in all honesty, there is this stigma around health in general for men, especially because, again, culturally we're taught you have to be strong, you have to be this, you have to be that. And you don't talk about these things, even to the people who actually know what's going on. They don't know what's going on unless you say something. So...
it's interesting because I've talked to doctors and I've talked to patients, and so many patients, especially as they're aging, they go into the doctor's office, and we all know we don't get a lot of time with our physicians, right? It's true, we don't, but that's why we have nurses and people to talk to before we get in with the doctor. But so many patients I've talked to have said, I don't want to take their time. And I'm like, no, this is when you should.
That's what you're paying for.
Yeah.
Write it down on a list and say, I can't leave until I get through these topics with you.
Absolutely.
It's that simple. And
my mom always told me to write things down.
Yes.
Because it's so easy to feel like not only are you overwhelmed,
right,
but you're overwhelming them. And if you go in with a list for whatever it is, whatever is ailing you or whatever you're worried about, it also kind of gives you that like protection, like a barrier. Like, I'm going to just read this. It's not as vulnerable if you have something.
Only if you remember to take the list. Mom, I'm talking to you. Sorry about throwing you under the bus, Mom. No.
Well, and a lot of people also, they are afraid, or they've been conditioned to say, well, if I bring up that, I have that itch behind my ear, it's going to turn into cancer. Or, because there's always this catastrophizing of symptoms that we've been kind of taught that doctors are out to get your money. Like, there's so many stigmas on so many levels. But at the end of the day, this is your health.
Right.
And if you do want to live forever like I am, you have to talk to your doctors so they can, cryo-freeze you at the right time.
I'm Larry Farver, and let's queer up faith. Catholic nuns sue New York over LGBTQ care rules in preemptive religious freedom case. The Dominican Sisters of Hawthorne, who run the 42-bed Rosary Hill home, are contesting provisions of a 2023 state law signed by Governor Kathy Hochul, known as the Long-Term Care Facility Residence Bill of Rights for LGBTQIA plus New Yorkers and people living with HIV. The legislation requires facilities to provide accommodations, including room assignments, bathroom access, and respectful communication based on the residents' gender identities. The lawsuit is filed by Colorado-based law firm First and 14th, which argues the rules infringe on the sisters' religious beliefs and free speech. The firm says it has filed the lawsuit preemptively, arguing the state could enforce the law against the hospice in the future. It objects to provisions requiring staff training and cultural competency, use of patients' preferred pronouns, and policies ensuring residents' rights to intimacy and association. They have cited letters allegedly sent as a warning to the hospice. However, a state agency website shows 0 complaints against Rosary Hill Home, and the letters may reflect standard explanations of anti-discrimination rules. The law firm is spearheading the suit in the Nuns' name, although the sisters wish to stay out of court. Well, having worked in healthcare for most of my day job HR career, I have to say that patient rights always seem paramount, no matter whether or not there's a religious affiliation or not. Mm-hmm. And I think it's really important to also look at cultural competency. I mean, as an HR professional, I've actually, gone through educational tracks where we would teach cultural competency, especially to our new employees coming on board, that they do need to keep that in mind, and especially in clinical positions or any position interfacing with the patients or their families. Yep. So it's very important.
Well, it seems to me, I mean, I don't know a lot about this, but it sounds like this law firm from Colorado is like, I see a problem that might possibly develop in the future, and I'm going to jump on this, and I'm going to, because you said in the name of the sisters,
right?
And they don't want to go to court. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, at any time. Now, I did not go to Catholic grammar school or high school or anything that, even though it would have been the time of the rulers, yes. But any nuns that I've ever come across have always been in the forefront, in the trenches, in caring for everybody and respecting everybody.
Yes, right. Yeah. Right.
So to me, the thought that they would have a problem with that seems a little stretch.
I mean, it does sound like an ambulance chaser for sure. I have a lot of questions because we've talked about this previously where we were talking about conversion therapy, and a lot of those medical practices are under the guise of and protection of a church. So I start to question this. If they are under the protection of the church and they're not a business, then those rules wouldn't necessarily pertain to them anyway.
Unless they're getting public funding.
Unless they're getting public funding, which they probably aren't. So while I think the lawsuit is frivolous, and it's sad that somebody decided that they were going to take this on, they're using the wrong person to do it, because the likelihood of that facility even having to deal with this, to be quite honest, is negligible. And if they are run and owned by the church, they're unfortunately governed by slightly different laws and regulations anyway. Right. So, to me, it's a null case.
Yeah, I think there's going to be more that'll come out from this. I have a feeling it doesn't have to do with what they're calling it as.
Right.
It has probably something to do more with the law that they disagree with versus saying the nuns are against this.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think it's been spun in a way that, it's
to get attention.
They found something that they could spin into a test case.
Right.
Yes.
That's my official, non-official input. Anyway.
I'm Jennifer McClain, and let's queer up the worldview. Australia court reopens case on excluding trans bi women from lesbian group events. A federal judge in Australia has set aside an earlier ruling that blocked a lesbian advocacy group from excluding trans and bisexual women from its events. This has sent the case back for review. The case centers on the Lesbian Action Group, LAG, which sought a 5-year exemption from the Sex Discrimination Act in 2023 to restrict its events to lesbians born female only. The Australian Human Rights Commission, AHRC, denied that request, stating it was not reasonable to exclude transgender women from such community events. LAG appealed, and in January 2025, a tribunal ruled the exclusion would constitute unlawful discrimination. Now, Justice Mark Mohinsky has overturned that tribunal decision, citing legal errors and ordering a reconsideration. Heather Corkill, the legal director of Equality Australia, said, quote, "The court has not endorsed discrimination against trans women, and it has not decided whether the exemption should be granted. It has simply identified legal errors in the tribunal's reasoning. So the matter must now be reconsidered." End quote. Justice Mohinsky said the tribunal had taken too narrow a view of its exemption powers and suggested the law could allow broader interpretation, including considerations of biological sex. The case will now return to the tribunal for reconsideration. That's a lot. There's a lot going on there, I gotta say. But to me, it goes back to people not knowing the difference between biological sex and sexual identity and sexual preference, like all of that. And if it has to go back to consideration because of technical errors, then hopefully it comes out on the side of inclusionary rulings, inclusionary rulings, so that all women, be they lesbian, queer, whatever.
I'm going to have a slightly other view. We talked about this once before. There was a gay campground that wanted to exclude trans men from the campground. So, and we had a discussion about that. This particularly, you're right. There is a difference between sexual identity and sexual preference. So if it's a lesbian group that wants to not allow heterosexual women or bisexual women into their events, they kind of have the right to do that. What the transgender part of it is the one that I have a problem with, because discriminating against anatomy is the problem. Right. I honestly don't have a problem that, because they don't want gay men there, they don't want straight men there, they don't want straight women there. So if they don't want bisexual women there, so be it. I mean, that's their group, that's their right. But to disclude trans women, because you will have a trans woman who is lesbian. You will have a trans woman who is heterosexual.
Exactly.
As you see that I said both things in one sentence to describe one person. So, and like the person said, the court hasn't said one way or the other. They're just saying, the way you got this through is flawed, so let's retest it. Let's throw it back to the wolves.
To me, it's sad because our own letters, LGBTQ, we're now creating the problem by highlighting this, versus all along it has been the government and everybody else coming for us. Now we're coming for ourselves.
Well, but I think it's
the worst time.
But I mean, I hate to say this, that I think people in general always have. I mean, we have men's clubs, we have women's clubs, we have predominantly we have African American clubs. So we've always excluded people and always kind of brought off groups. So I don't necessarily have a problem with that, because if you're finding safety amongst your like-minded people, your like kind, I don't have a problem with that. If it's done out of hate, there's an issue, right? We have the gay men's chorus. It wasn't the LGBTQ chorus. It has changed. We have changed, and certain things don't need to be exclusionary. But there has been places and organizations that were created to create safe spaces.
Right.
So yes, we are creating problems amongst ourselves. I think some of it gets a little stretched and becomes a problem when it shouldn't have been.
I mean, are we now, as far as clubs go, organizations now saying, now you need to identify, can you show us your birth certificate in order to join this? Or, I mean, are we really getting to that level?
I mean, you have to vote.
Wow.
Okay. I mean, I hate to say it. Look, like I said, I don't necessarily agree with it, but I also don't disagree with having a lesbian club.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't disagree with having a gay men's club. You know, I don't disagree with those things. What I do disagree with is when you're saying, well, you're a lesbian, but you're not the right lesbian.
Right.
You're a gay man, you're not the right gay man.
Right.
That's when I start having a problem. And you're saying it's because some sort of anatomy that I may or may not have or have been born with properly.
Right.
That's when I have a problem.
Gotcha.
I'm Rex Rogosch, and let's queer up the USA view. The Tennessee Legislature has passed the Charlie Kirk Act. If signed by Governor Bill Lee, the law would prohibit public colleges and universities from blocking invited speakers, even those with views considered discriminatory. It also protects faculty and speakers from retaliation based on their positions on homosexuality or transgender behavior, regardless of whether that opposition is motivated by religious or non-religious belief. The legislation requires institutions to adopt the University of Chicago's freedom of expression policy. The policy states that a university's fundamental commitment is to the principle that debate or deliberation may not be suppressed even if ideas are deemed offensive or immoral. Under the bill, actions such as disrupting events, blocking views, or staging walkouts that cause considerable disruption could lead to disciplinary action. Penalties may include probation, suspension, or expulsion for both student and faculty. State Representative Gino Bulso, who sponsored the bill, said it is named after Charlie Kirk, quote, because he actually gave his life in the defense of freedom of expression and doing so in a civil manner, end quote. Opponents argue the bill limits protest rights. State Representative Justin Jones noted, quote, it's ironic that this body is talking about free speech when we had professors in Tennessee schools expelled and suspended when they did not mourn the death of Charlie Kirk, end quote. Kirk was a right-wing activist known for anti-LGBTQ+ rhetoric. He was assassinated in September during a speaking event in Utah. Oh, I'm going to get canceled for this one too. Look, as somebody who took speech and debate and was on speech and debate teams for most of my high school and into my college years, I do believe in healthy speech and debate. I believe that anybody should come to the table to be able to say their views. You don't have to agree with the views. And in fact, that's what speech and debate is for. You're not debating somebody who agrees with you.
Right.
So, I do believe that people should be able to go to an organization, a school or whatever, and say, hey, I want to have a speech and or debate or discussion about this topic. That should be allowed. I agree. What I take offense to is I, as a person who is at said debate, should be able to protest. There are legal ways to protest. I'm not saying cause a commotion, throw a bomb scare, any of those types of things. But you should be able to legally do those things. If you want to get up and walk out, you have 2 legs or a wheelchair, you can exit the building.
Yep.
If you don't like something that I say, turn the channel. Like, you have the ability to do those things. You have those options. However, to limit that is the problem I have. To state that, you know, a school goes, oh, I don't like your views, you can't come here. I mean, if it's a private college, sure, but if it's a public college, they should be able to go and have a civil debate. Period.
I mean, I'm really in total agreement with you with one caveat. It needs to be reciprocal. And I think that's
agree.
where some of the issues and probably concerns are going to be is, okay, they may allow that to happen, but would they allow us to come and create a debate?
Sure.
For LGBTQ rights?
Well, that's the thing. A debate is two ways. So you're either having a stage debate with you and another person or panels on stage, or you're having an open discussion or debate with your audience.
But from what I understand, what they were saying is they are allowed to invite anybody as a speaker, not just for a debate. So I want to, I want to invite somebody who's going to speak exclusively on an anti-LGBTQ plus platform, and the student body is prohibited from getting up and walking out.
Right, and that's what I have a problem with.
And that's part of it.
Yeah.
But also, the state senator
Jones,
who was quoted there, wasn't he one of the 2 black legislatures that was censured and actually kicked out
Yeah.
for speaking up.
Yeah, that's the problem with what's
So
happened.
for him to say that for this body of government to now want to restrict that or support that seems a little hypocritical.
I mean, unfortunately, free speech has been debated in this country since the day that we created free speech, right?
Yeah.
It's free speech when it benefits the person who's claiming that their free speech is being inhibited most of the time, unfortunately. You know, free speech is you can say whatever you want as long as it doesn't incite a riot, right?
Free speech is not free from consequence.
Right.
Correct. That's the other thing that a lot of people. So you know, I can't run into a building and yell fire, you know, and that's not free speech. But a healthy, you know, I have a view on X and you have a view on Y, and we have a conversation. We might leave changed. We might leave with you're still an idiot,
Right.
but it doesn't incite a riot. And so, and unfortunately, I keep seeing our schools going away from education because healthy debate is part of education. You know, I've said it before, people who don't like what I say or people who don't like me, allow me to have a conversation and I might change their minds. And guess what that's called? It's called progress, people. So, I mean, and it's sad to me to see colleges starting to chip away at that because they're afraid of repercussions of getting their funding cut or yada, 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 yada.
I'm Von Biggs, and let's queer up health. Penis filler rises in popularity among gay men. A growing number of gay men are turning into penis filler, a non-surgical cosmetic procedure designed to increase girth and enhance confidence. Penis filler involves injecting dermal fillers, most commonly hyaluronic acid, into the shaft to create a thicker appearance. Aesthetic nurse practitioner Chris Bustamante informed, quote, "The penis also looks longer when flaccid since it's no longer able to fully retract. It's an aesthetic procedure focused on enhancement rather than function," end quote. Doctors say ideal candidates are generally healthy individuals with realistic expectations. Patients must be in good overall health and have no active infection or skin conditions of the penile shaft. While the procedure does not significantly alter sensitivity, it may improve sexual confidence. Costs remain high. Bustamante said treatments typically start at about $8,000, with most patients spending around $12,000. Results can last up to 3 years, with maintenance recommended every 12 to 18 months. Common side effects include swelling, bruising, and tenderness, usually resolving within 2 weeks. Experts warn that complications are more likely when procedures are performed by inexperienced providers. Well, hold on to your loins, because I know that we've all got a lot to talk about on this one, right?
Girth your loins.
Yeah, gird your loins, exactly. Chris Bustamante, I actually saw him, I've seen him on YouTube and Instagram about this, and I know I've seen a couple of the interviews with people, and when they talk about that went from the 8,000 to 12,000, it's because they came back and they wanted a little bit girthier. And I get it. Aesthetically, it looks one way, but apparently it's effective in the bedroom too, is all I'm going to say. No, I wouldn't know personally, but at least that's what the clients are stating.
Look, y'all are adults. You can do whatever you want to your body. I really don't care. But as somebody who champions mental health, this worries me because we're not talking about it says it boosts your confidence. I'm sorry. I mean, look, I suffer from a lot of body dysmorphia myself, but I'm not going out and changing my body and doing medical procedures to cover up the fact that there are things that when I look in the mirror, I don't like it. Okay. I luckily have a partner who looks at me and says, you know what, I like you. You want to do things, do them, but I don't need you to do them. Now, for $12,000, that better do more than just make a girth. It better, get me off and everything. No, but I really do want to, stress that, especially here as gay men, we do focus a lot on youth. And as we get older, the boyfriends get younger, the people get younger. A lot of people have Peter Pan syndrome because they came out later and they are now living they're trying to live a younger life that they never had. So, I mean, there's a lot of mental health there. And so my only suggestion is if you want to do something like this, great, go for it. It's your body. But maybe look at the real reasons why you're doing it and and have conversations about it before you go stick needles down there and spend the money.
And I think, you know, being in healthcare, you really want to make sure you're going to a qualified professional. Do not look to cut corners. You hear about people going overseas, out of the country, thinking they're getting a deal. If you do that, please be careful.
Yeah. And there's a lot of, similarly with injections, like look at a lot of the trans women that are older now. Alexander Billings is posted very publicly. She had to have removed a lot of stuff that she had done to her body because it was not done the right way or it was not done, you know. So, I mean, if that's something that you want to do, if that's something, you know, just like Botox, if you want to do Botox, like,
I mean, if you want to look like a human Barbie, go for it. You know, that is your right. I just fear that some of this, especially with gay men, and the fact that they use the word, it increases confidence. That's what triggers me to say, okay, we're not doing it because you have medical issues, or you know, you have ED, or you know, all these other things. It's because you want to get a cuter, younger boyfriend, or whatever it is. It's not going to happen necessarily just because you have a third leg. Right.
No, they may think so. But I like how you brought in the mental health aspect of this, because I look at myself I used to be 600 pounds. So, and when I lost all that weight, I had the excess skin removed, which was a great thing. Would I go in today and have more surgery? Yeah, I could, but I've accepted who I am at my body. I'm very happy with my body. I'm curvy and I'm okay with it. You know, it doesn't bother me, but you're absolutely right. It is that whole mental health aspect that we have to look at too. And sometimes, you know, we see the people getting the facial treatments. I'd rather put the acid on my face like I do currently versus in me.
Right. That just sounds bad.
And I just saw there was, it looks maxing. You heard about that?
It's a new male trend.
It's new. And they do. I don't know exactly what it is, but one of the I don't know, the influencers, I guess, was filming something and doing a procedure, and it went wrong. And it went horribly wrong, and that's the only reason that it popped up on my feed, and it said, you know, so, and I wish I knew the name or had more information, but it is something that people are more and more, you know, going the medical or the cosmetic fix for something that is possibly more internal.
Right. Yeah. And like we talked earlier, you know, decrease in testosterone. This looks there's a bunch of influencers, and it's this whole ideology around masculinity and what it is to be masculine. And unfortunately, we tie masculinity in with muscle and how big your penis is and how tall you are, and all of these physiological things when it has nothing to do with that. So.
LGBTQ 1 Minute News, let's queer up health. Alaska's only nonprofit LGBTQ plus health clinic to close after 49 years. Identity Health Clinic, a longtime and the only non-profit LGBTQ healthcare provider in Anchorage, is shutting down after nearly 5 decades. The clinic will end in-person appointments on April 17th, with telehealth services conducting May 1st and final operations ending May 15th. Executive Director Tom Pittman said the board cited unpaid Medicaid reimbursements, insurance billing concerns, and an increasingly inaccessible political environment as key challenges. Costly lease requirements and infeasible renovations also forced the clinic to vacate. Patients are being transferred statewide as the nonprofit launches a $60,000 fundraiser to support staff and cover patients' costs. I'm sorry to hear that any LGBTQ clinic is going away. And it's just like, if there was some way that they could be bought up by a conglomerate, you know, type of a thing. I always view it as, I know we at Holy Cross, we have a clinic that we specialize in, LGBTQ clinic in Wilton Manors, but you don't necessarily have to advertise it as an LGBTQ. People know it is. People are referred to it as it is. It's not published that it is. So maybe there could be some hope. I don't know.
Well, and it's sad that what's going to be even worse is they are a nonprofit. So that means the people that they see probably don't have insurance. So even if they're being issued around statewide, we all know that public funding is getting cut, regardless if these people are LGBTQ, because a lot of the LGBTQ places will bring in people because they are a nonprofit and we do accept people. And a lot of those people, again, don't have insurance. So what's going to happen to those people now that they are shuffled off to other organizations that probably, they're going to give them 1 or 2 treatments?
Well, they're also not going to be logistically close.
Right. It's Alaska we're talking about.
It's Alaska. It's not like they have like 13 clinics on every corner.
Right.
Not that we do here either, obviously, but
they're more accessible.
It's the only one in Anchorage.
Right.
So where, if they shuffle them off,
And they said statewide.
Right.
yeah.
Alaska's a big state, people, if you didn't pass geography.
Right.
Well, then this education.
Yeah.
LGBTQ 1 Minute News. Let's queer up the world view. Russian outlet fined $6.6 thousand over review of gay hockey drama under the LGBT propaganda law. The Oktyabrskyi, sorry about that, District Court in Saratov penalized Saratov Business Consulting after it ran a review titled, quote, "Why did heated rivalry become popular?" End quote. The article was quickly removed. An employee of the consulting firm told Mediazona, quote, "The article just came from a link exchange. It was published for a short time, but we quickly took it down. It's a harmless review, the kind which is all over the internet," end quote. The employee added cautiously that the series has been actively discussed right now. Despite strict laws, the series has gained a strong Russian audience via VPNs and pirate sites. Well, it just reminds us that even though we don't really have it great here, that we have it a lot better than the folks in Russia.
I wonder if somebody accidentally posted the link.
Well, and if it's a link share, I mean, you're literally going, this other people said it. And he's, the news reporter said, look, it's all over the internet anyway.
Yeah.
But you're in a state-run media situation anyway, and people are getting their news via VPNs, if they can even get on the internet at all.
Mm-hmm.
I work with a lot of overseas people, and one of the girls I work with is Russian. And when she goes to Russia, she goes, "You're not going to talk to me for 2 weeks because I may or may not have internet."
Wow.
Like they will literally, not because they just want, they literally shut it down so they can divert the internet to the war efforts. So
LGBTQ 1 Minute News. Let's queer up entertainment. Madonna announces Confessions 2 album for July 3rd release. Titled Confessions 2, the project is a sequel to 2005's Confessions on a Dance Floor, known for its ABBA-inspired disco sound and juxtaposing escapism with self-reflection. Queer audience, in particular, praised the album for its cohesion and energy. Now the new album reunites Madonna with producer Stuart Price, who also helmed the original record. Confessions 2 marks her first album of new material since 2019's Madam X. Well, it wouldn't be another decade without another Madonna, would it?
I completely agree.
I mean, she has to stay. Look, Madonna is a chameleon. She's, the generational, icon. I still don't think she can sing, but she is very entertaining, and the dance mixes are excellent. Right. LGBTQ 1 Minute News. Let's queer up business. A California-based coffee chain has ordered the removal of pride flags from its stores. Phil's Coffee, which operates locations across California and Chicago, recently directed stores to take down pride flags and other LGBTQ plus decor. CEO Mahesh Sunduragahani confirmed the move, describing it as a visual change rather than a shift in company values. The decision has drawn criticism from patrons and allies who view the removal as a step away from visible queer support. In response, a petition was launched on change.org, reportedly by baristas, calling on the company to reinstate pride flags across all locations. Since becoming public, the campaign has gathered more than 7,000 signatures, reflecting growing dissatisfaction with the company's decision. Phil's Coffee has not issued additional comments beyond its initial statement. So I did a little searching. Phil's Coffee has and was recently acquired by a private equity firm in 2025. Mm-hmm. So this actually kind of makes sense. I've gone through that with other companies where a private equity firm comes in, and a lot of things change, and they don't change necessarily for the better because the company is there to make money. Mm-hmm. And so unfortunately there's going to be a lot of changes. And like the CEO said, it wasn't necessarily a policy change or a reflection on them. It's it's a private equity firm, unfortunately, coming in and going, we need to clean up our things, because what private equity firms do is they come in, they buy, and then they sell. So they have to make it look profitable. They have to make it look pretty. And unfortunately, with political climate right now, it's not good business for some people.
Yeah.
And that's a sad fact. Yes, please keep, protesting it. But unfortunately, things like this aren't going to change.
It is absolutely their right to decide to take these things away. It is also my right never to drink their coffee.
Absolutely. Right. Like we said earlier, everybody has choices.
That's right. LGBTQ 1 Minute News, let's queer up health. Anonymous letter alleges leadership crisis at National Minority AIDS Council. An anonymous staff member has accused the National Minority AIDS Council of a rapid and systemic collapse of leadership, governance, and ethical standards in a statement sent by Washington Blade. The claims allege that CEO Harold Phillips has destabilized the organization at every level, including hiring 9 senior staff with $220,000 salaries for duplicative, and unjustifiable roles. Sources have told the Washington Blade many allegations appear credible. The statement also claims staff terminations and financial strain. NMAC, however, denied the accusations, calling them purposefully misleading. They said, quote, "We are aware of the recent Blade article containing unfounded allegations about NMAC making claims that are simply false and purposefully misleading. Evidenced by our new strategic plan and recent successful biomedical HIV prevention summit in Chicago, NMAC's new leadership is laser focused on delivering on our mission serving the HIV community with renewed energy and vision. This is no more than a shocking headline with no substance to back up the allegations made," end quote. The allegations come months after longtime leader Paul Kawada stepped down, raising concerns about the organization's future leadership. I have a few things to say on this, but recently I returned from the biomedical conference in Chicago, where 1,200 people came together with one shared goal. Sitting in those rooms reminded me that we are closer than ever to ending the HIV epidemic. Prevention works, treatment works. What we need now is leadership that understands both the science and the lives behind the data. NMAC has been leading at that intersection for years. Since Harold Phillips has stepped into leadership, these conferences feel different. The focus is sharper. The urgency is real. Impacted communities are no longer afterthoughts. They are centered. What matters most to people living with or affected by HIV is clearly guiding the work. We would question salaries all day long across organizations throughout this country, but that conversation misses the larger truth. The work at NMAC is getting done. The impact is growing. Communities are being reached, supported, and respected because of strong leadership. Sometimes good people cost money because they are worth it. Honoring experience, vision, and results is not access or excess. It is investment. After witnessing the energy, clarity, and momentum in Chicago, it is clear that NMAC is not just talking about change, they are delivering it. I just love this organization. They are one of the ones behind me that really honed my voice when it comes to HIV. I took a workshop with them down in Miami almost 6 years ago, and it has changed the way I approach HIV, my advocacy, and my work. I've been to many of their conferences. Was just there last week. I was actually able to present at that conference, and it's just so strong, and you see a major change and shift. And yeah, we could call salaries out in every nonprofit in this country, right?
Mm-hmm. Any organization, any business,
right,
in this country. I mean, I'm glad that you said something about that, because you do have to look at the bottom line. I can't tell you how many bosses said, I don't care how you get there, just get there. And yes, we can talk about salaries, and yes, I'm sure there's people out there that we assume make too much money. But again, what is their background? Where do they live? Cost of living, everything, everybody knows cost of living is going up, right? So if you're in a director's position and you're making $80,000 a year, we all know that $80,000 a year doesn't cut it for anybody, especially somebody, who has that responsibility. But you said it. If they're getting the job done and you are there in the trenches seeing the jobs getting done, right, then let's stop, going for low-hanging fruit. Let's if the Washington Blade has always been kind of a situational news media platform anyway. It's sensationalism. They know that something like that is going to pique someone's interest who's not making that type of money. Go, why are they making that type of... but they're out there doing the work that's important.
Right.
And I think too, when you see Washington and the government and the absolute ridiculousness of certain people in certain positions, to read something like that, it strikes true.
Right.
It strikes true. So I really appreciate you knowing that it's, not necessarily accurate.
Right. Right.
Or not the whole story.
Right. Exactly.
Or the important story.
Right.
Yes.
These are today's headlines from Queer News Tonight. Our anchors represent the best of our LGBTQ family.
If our community is important to you, share this news with your friends and family. Don't forget to join the conversation on your favorite streaming platform.
Queer News Tonight is the only live LGBTQ digital television show in the world that is out of the closet and into the headlines. We need your support. If our community is to grow and then thrive, we must tell our stories and bring them to the attention of the broader world.
This is the only place in the world that tells these types of LGBTQ stories in motion and sound. That is the passion of Hotspots Magazine, Happening Out Television Network, and Queer News Tonight.
I'm Von Biggs. I'm your anchor, and I thank you for joining us on behalf of my fellow LGBTQ anchors here tonight at Queer News Tonight. Larry Farver, Jennifer McClain, and Rex Rogosch. We'll see you daily at 8 p.m. To our LGBTQ world, we wish you a good night.